Ladies and gentlemen, it is officially EverQuest Everfest. It's Everfest time. Why do I keep doing this? I've recorded the intro like 3 times, by the way. I'm probably not going to put this one in. I don't know if I will. It just depends. I'm just going to keep talking, and if it turns out okay, then I may just roll with it. EverQuest was an MMO. I never even played EverQuest. I don't know, it's just in the zeitgeist. It's like up there. So this is Everfest, not EverQuest. Hopefully I'll put like a graphic or something that says Everfest, because the logo is actually really cool, really well done. Everfest is the upcoming supplemental set, and I love supplemental sets. I guess there's only been one, so I've loved the supplemental set. Gave me the most exciting pull of my entire card gaming life. I think I have it sitting. Where is she? Where is she? Where's my favorite hero? Guys, I think I've just decided, I think I've finally come to the conclusion that Shiana is just my favorite hero. I don't know, I'm still on the fence, but she's definitely top 3. I'll put it that way. She is top 3. Her, Prism, and, I don't know, maybe Kasai, I think are my top 3, but she's definitely up there. And because I got that, and just like this excitement that was supplemental set first one, Crucible of War, I'm so excited for this one, and we got all the info today, so I'm gonna just say goodbye to the sub button. By the way, if you want to make that number go up before it disappears, hit the subscribe button. That'd be fun. If we get to 7K, I'm doing another giveaway, but that's if we get to 7K. Goodbye, patrons. I salute you. You guys are the best. Anyone that's a patron of mine is like my favorite person. It's just how it goes. If you'd like to be one of my favorite people, you can join my Patreon. It'll be great. Boom, there it is. Look at that. I just pressed the button and it shows right up. I love it. You'll love to see it. Can we just first say this? It's a carnival themed set, and if you don't know, the Everfest Carnival is in Aria. It's the largest carnival, like ever, basically. It's the largest thing ever. It's run for centuries. It's like a roving carnival that never stops moving, and like there are ancient families that have kind of been mainstays of the Everfest Carnival for centuries and for generations, which is super cool. And as you saw from the splash image that I used in the background, it's really big. Like, it's real, like those, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but like right below on the grass, those tiny little specks are people, which means I don't know why in the world you need like a main tent this tall, but I want to find out, and I hope they show that in the card. Also, there's a roller coaster. Like, are you guys seeing the roller coaster? I would never have guessed that there was a roller coaster in Wraith. I mean, I guess I would have. In like metrics maybe, right? Because they showed that in metrics, but like I would have not pegged it for Aria at the very least. Still, very cool. And it does also say something about like perhaps the lore, perhaps metrics and like the technology is bleeding over into Aria and giving us like some nice little crossovers, which ties nicely into the supplemental set being a set for all heroes to supplement their building, which we can actually see. Where does it say it? Right here. Yeah, Everfest is a supplementary booster set designed to expand constructed play with new cards for every hero in the game. And we'll talk about hero in the game here in a moment because I've got numbers. I broke down all the numbers that I could and tried to come up with some theories. So we'll do some speculating, which is always fun to do. We'll do some speculating here as to how they plan on distributing all of the cards in the set. By the way, there's also one more spicy thing here, which is this sentence. Within the bustling grounds of the Everfest Carnival, all fashion of performers, peddlers, and frolicking fun is to be found. And hopefully we see Meeps stealing apples from people. Like, I want to see that. Will you find fun, fame, or good fortune in the Carnival slot of your Everfest booster pack? Or perhaps take the center stage and become the star of the show? I think both of these are referential to something we're going to see in the set. I really do. I think both of these are very important, and we'll talk about the Carnival slot and where I think it's going to fall within the pack, because I actually think it's real. I think the Carnival slot is a real thing, and I'll tell you what I think and what I theorize it will be going forward. But I also think this take center stage and become the star of the show is really interesting as well. Okay, so a couple of things about the set and things that you should definitely know. It releases February 4th, and spoilers start 2 weeks prior. Where's that posted? January 24th, somewhere. But the fact that it's January 24th means that you're not going to get a ton of spoilers like early, and You know, it's like all gonna happen in like this one big like explosion of spoilers, like it did with Tales of Aria, which was a lot of fun. There was always something, and like those days where we didn't get spoilers, it was like you're like checking your watch, thinking, am I missing something? So that will be fun, though I will say it's going to be fast and furious for this set because it's going to be all over the map with regards to cards that you're going to see in the set. It's not just like 3 classes. It's like all over the place. So the breakdown of the set, it's a 198 card set, which, by the way, is exactly the same as Crucible of War. Now, if you go to Crucible of War and you scroll to the bottom and you see it says 197, don't forget to count the 00 spot, which is the Arknight Shard in Crucible of War. So exact same number of cards in the set. I don't remember if Crucible of War actually mentions the Cracked Bauble. I'm not sure if they mention the Cracked Bauble, but here it doesn't look like they mention the Cracked Bauble, which is intriguing. Could mean one of 2 things. 1, they just don't feel like mentioning the Cracked Bauble. Actually, 3 things. 2, they're just going to put it in there and like foil it out, right? Like they did for Crew, and call it a common. Or 3, it's no longer a Cracked Bauble, and now it's something else. Now that is the spiciest of tinfoil hat theories. I don't believe that one, but I thought about it and I was like, I should share that with you. What if it's no longer a Cracked Bauble at this point? And that's why they didn't mention it. That's not what I think, but it's fun to think about. We have a 10 card per pack setup, just like they did with Crucible of War. So when you get your packs, you're going to be like, oh, this feels different. And it doesn't just feel different because it's 10 cards per pack instead of 15. It also feels different because they went to all paper wrappers, which is super fun. I've gotten so many comments from people being like, man, don't you feel bad opening like packs and having all these like foil packs everywhere because they they can't biodegrade? And I'm like, yes, fundamentally I do feel a little gross after I open a case of packs. And it's kind of cool that they're going to literally use fully recyclable paper booster wrappers. And they say that this is the world's first full production trading card game that does it, which tells me that this is like full commit. All the set will be like this. And they even mentioned that Everfest, 100% of Everfest first edition boxes, I think, just straight up, everything in first edition, like every Everfest booster pack is going to have a paper wrapper, which is cool. As far as Unlimited, they'll probably print Unlimited in a different spot, so they may just do foil wrappers for that, which could be an interesting way to collect things. Like you just get one paper for first edition and one foil for second. But either way, I think it's a lot of fun that we're going to have the paper wrapper thing. Plus, it'll probably be easier to like tear and open for my kids, because I let my kids open these packs too. Back to the distribution. This is designed to expand constructed play. It features, again, they mentioned the same thing, contains new cards for every hero and the game. I am taking that at their word. I'm literally thinking that they are printing cards for every hero. Now, are they going to specifically... So let's break this down for a second. There are 9 overarching classes in the game. There's Ninja Brute, Warrior, Guardian, Wizard, Mech, Runeblade, Ranger, and Illusionist. Okay, those are the main overarching classes. Then, of course, you have Merchant, and you have Shapeshifter as well. So technically, there's like 11 if you count those 2 sort of spicy ones, which, I mean, I kind of do because I love both of those heroes, which is weird because like you can only play them in Blitz. Nevertheless, both super fun heroes to play, and both technically classes in the game and heroes in the game. So if we're breaking this down and we're looking at this, if they're referring to those main 9 overarching classes, then giving like class cards and class majestics and things like that would be very easy, be very solid and easy. If they're literally saying every hero in the game, well, there's 15 classic constructed heroes, right? 4 from the first 2 sets, 4 from the first 3 sets actually, and then there's 3 in the last set. So that's 15 CC heroes, and then there were 6. I think there were 6 in Crucible of War, and so 21 total heroes. Are they going to print specific cards for those heroes? I think yes, but I will say this: they could just call it like, I'm going to print this Ranger card, and it's specifically made to be played by Azalea, but it could also be tapped into Lexi, right? So they could say that. They could essentially just make it to where I print within the card class, but I specifically tailor a certain card for, one of the 14 rune blades. Then they make it like a Briar only card, but even you could still play it in the other two. So they could go that route, and we'll talk more about that when we get to the numbers of Majestic, which are up here, and we compare that as well. By the way, there's one Fabled, 3 legendaries, so there's 1 extra legendary. There's 45 Majestics, so that means there's I wrote this down. Where's my numbers? I wrote them down. 9 more Majestics than Crucible of War. There's 61 rares, which is 5 more rares than Crucible of War. And there's 88 commons, which is like 15 less commons. So if you crunch those numbers together, they basically stole 15 commons and made them rare, majestic, or legendary, which is cool. We already know one of the legendaries, which is the Arcanite Skullcap, being reprinted in this set as a legendary. We have no real bead on what the other 2 legendaries would be right now, so that's exciting. Get speculating on what those could be. Most likely some sort of a generic thing that everyone can kind of tap into, or they may throw us for a loop and give us another legendary hero like they did with Shiana. And then, of course, what the Fable might be. Because we're still in Aria, it could be the Fable that was hinted at by Rudy's setup video with the 4 gems. It could be the Olin Fable, which would make some sense because we are still technically in Aria. So I would put money that it would be that one versus something different. But I mean, either way, it'd be really spicy if it were that, no matter what. This is designed to expand constructed play. You cannot draft this set, technically, is what they say. It does contain cold foils, and then the MSRP went up a little bit. It's $99.90, which is interesting. There was one other thing that I wanted to point out, and I forgot what it was. It's kind of funny. If you go to the product sheet, it does actually break this down. Here it is. You get 1 foil per pack. That's normal, rainbow or cold foil. You get 2 rare or higher. So that actually means, I believe, that you could get a double majestic instead of a rare in your pack, or you can get a majestic or legendary, or you can get the ever elusive double legendary pack. If that exists, I would love to watch that get opened on camera. Straight up, I would love to watch that get open. And then you get 7 commons per pack as well. And this distribution is really interesting when we talk about the Carnival Slot. Okay, the Carnival Slot is something I very much want to discuss. So let's go back really quick and let's talk about the Carnival Slot. Okay, so they reference this Carnival Slot right here. Will you find fun, fame, or good fortune in the Carnival Slot of your booster pack? And the reason I think this is a straight up real slot is because they actually refer to the booster pack. And if this is a real slot, I am betting that the Carnival Slot is going to take the place of one of the rare or better slots. Okay, I'm just going to throw that out there, and it would make sense because if they're going to change like this rarity distribution where you don't necessarily get 1 rare and then 1 rare better, if they're going to say one of those 2 slots is going to be, a rare majestic or better, and the other one is like rare majestic or better, but that's the Carnival Slot, it makes some sense, right? And here's what I think the Carnival Slot is. I think the Carnival Slot is you will randomly roll into a new card in this slot. It won't just be a rare or better. It's going to be an alt art reprint of a card previous. That is straight up what I think it's going to be. Mark my prediction down. Maybe I change my mind as I go, but I think with that just like baseline hint, I think this is a fantastic way to address like the issue that you run into where Command and Conquer is just far too expensive, right? Instead of just taking up a majestic slot, perhaps, by like, there's 45 majestics in the set, you just do a Carnival Slot and you put this as like a random rare drop that's not in the set, but it is in the set in that sense, where it's an alt art version of a reprinted card that is highly sought after. So for example, you could like do an alternate art Enlightened Strike, You just print out an Enlightened Strike and change the art, which would be a little sad because I like the art of Enlightened Strike. But maybe you find something nice and spicy and fun, and you put it into that slot. So that would explain this idea that there is a Carnival slot, and it would explain why you have a rare or better and a rare or better slot, rather than just this one's going to be a guaranteed rare, and this one's a rare plus. And then I actually think this is also a nod and a wink to something that we're going to see in this set. So what they're basically saying is, are you going to take center stage and become the star of the show? When I read this, my first thought, are they trying or are they encouraging some form of single player with that? Because if you're going to take center stage and become the star of the show, that's insinuating that you will have some sort of agency within this set, and perhaps they have some rudimentary form of PvE or rudimentary form of solo play incorporated in this. Maybe it's not that. Maybe it's just something else as far as like a type of rarity, or one of the cards in the set having some special kind of nod and wink to something. I don't know. But this to me strikes me as being palpable. Like, you write this sentence with a reference to something you can get in the pack, and then a reference that people won't get until they really get it. I think this is a thing. I want to hear your speculation and your thought on exactly this portion here. Or perhaps take center stage and become the star of the show, because I actually think that's going to be something in this set. I'm really curious. I'm really, really curious as to what that's going to be. Okay, and finally, before we wrap up, I want to go back to these numbers because I have some theories on these Majestics. So, as you may know, Majestics are incredibly powerful and sort of class-defining, okay? And if every hero in the game is going to get Majestics, or sorry, I should say just get cards, perhaps they give every hero in the game Majestics. Now, there's some people that are speculating that they're going to give every hero in the game a specialization, okay? And if they do that, technically they could do that. Perhaps that's why they increased the rare numbers. I mean, we did see rare specializations printed in Monarch with, what were they? Soul Reaping and Soul Harvest. Both of those are specializations. And we also saw, technically we saw Herald of Judgment and Via the Vanguard are both specializations as well, if memory serves correct. So they could have upped the rare count to give us more specializations in that respect, which is great because that's technically giving more shapeshifter cards access for Shiana. And plus, I mean, if they're going to give specializations, they're probably going to need to do that not in the Majestic slot for every single class, but they could still. Now, the Majestics is the interesting thing because, again, this 45 number can break down very easily across 9 total classes. So if they produce 5 class Majestics for every class in the classic constructed game, which again is kind of what they're trying to support, just constructed play. If they give 5 across the board, 5 times 9 is 45, right? So that gets you your 45 Majestics. But I think they could mess with these numbers a little bit. And I think they could do so in order to better support some of the classes that haven't seen a set around them yet. So, for example, Ninja hasn't been printed into anything except Welcome to Wraith. Both, Mechanologist and Wizard from Arcane Rising haven't been printed into something else outside of Arc, and Crew, of course. And Illusionist has, like, really short end of the stick right now because they just only have Monarch stuff, right? So what they could end up doing is something like adding a Majestic for each of those 4 classes, putting those to 6, okay, and stealing Majestics away from 4 of the other classes. And my prediction was that they would take Majestics away from Warrior, Guardian, Ranger, and Runeblade. I think were my 4 predictions. So those classes may get 4 Majestics, and Ninja, Mech, Wizard, Illusionist get 6, and then Brute gets 5. Just for you Brute fans out there, let's just say Brute gets 5 because Levia was kind of undersold a little bit in some respects as far as the community is concerned. And so maybe they give Brute 5. I don't know. So you could break it down that way. There are ways for them to kind of parlay more cards and more Majestics into certain classes that haven't had a set released for them a second time yet. And so this is all very conjecture based, but all sort of based on numbers that they could mess around with. And I'm really excited to see where they go with this set. This is only like 2 months away. And I was very close. I thought it was going to be end of January, but it looks like it made it to beginning of February. And it is coming very quickly. I wish, and this is another thing, I wish the spoiler season were a little longer so that we could really get teased with some of these cool cards. But I am going to be so floored when we start seeing the stuff come out of this set. Let me know what you think about all of this stuff, both the conjecture and the predictions, and just the set in general with its general vibe and feel. What do you think about the logo? The logo looks really cool overall. Very Greatest Showman with the red and the white. I feel like I'm going to go buy a Circus Leader jacket. That's what I'm going to do. When this set drops, I am going to open boxes of this set, just full circus garb. Should I do that? Let me know in a comment below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, do that like and subscribe thing. And as always, everybody, thanks for watching.